Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and today we're going to be talking about something that is probably not news. It's kind of an excuse for me to say this happened, and here's some thoughts about it. And I know I'm going to look like an apologist by the end of the video, but I do want to say some more things, and because I've been reading comments about some of my attitude towards some of the recent things at Uber, and I want to make this video and say some things because I personally don't want to become a soulless monster who ever stops looking at anyone as something other than human. I believe everyone's human. And no matter how horrible they have reasons for why they are the way they are. And I feel like to be better than the people we hate is to be sympathetic towards them even when they don't deserve it. So, with that out of the way, Travis Kalanick was spotted for the first time in public today after being ousted from Uber. I mean, I know they said he resigned. He was ousted. Let's not kid ourselves. And he was having lunch with Jamie Dimon, who was the CEO of JP Morgan Chase Bank, which, if you live in California especially, there's a lot of Chase banks. I mean, they even are the official ATM of Disneyland. And Disney owns a bank called Partners Federal Credit Union. But Partners ATMs are not in Disney parks. Chase ATMs are. Now, of course, already this is not a meeting most normal people would have, and we can even probably rightfully make a joke like, "Oh, former ousted millionaire CEOs, have lunch with other millionaire CEOs." But the reports of the lunch is that it was Kalanick looked very somber. We don't know exactly what was discussed. I doubt it was a job opportunity because Chase knows better than to hire someone like Kalanick to run a company so well established and respected. In fact, since Chase is a publicly traded company, I dare say I don't think they'd really be able to do that. No one would approve of that. But apparently he was having lunch with CEO, and Chase has done some shady stuff before, and they weathered through that storm, and their CEO managed to keep his job. And but he probably knows what it's like to be feeling the heat, to be waking up in sweats every night wondering, like, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to bring down this company? Am I going to do this? I'm assuming it was a very personal lunch where Kalanick was probably bearing his soul to this guy, like, I built this company and I made it what it is. And they felt I was going to destroy it. And maybe I was destroying it. Maybe I was too prideful. Like, why didn't I make this choice sooner? Why did I make this change? Why didn't I do this? I can only imagine what he's thinking. And you know what? If I were to personally talk to Kalanick right now, would I probably ask a few questions about the way he ran Uber? Probably. I couldn't help myself. But I would be way more interested now that it's a done deal, that he's not there anymore. What does it feel like to be basically forced out of your baby? To be forced off the project you had slaved so hard to make it work? Do you have any regrets? Do you wish you had changed sooner? While you were at the company, did you feel like maybe you should make this change and you just, for whatever reason, didn't do it? Because this, believe it or not, what happened to Uber, this is not exactly an uncommon thing. There's many situations where people who are running the ship, who are the captains, so to speak, get taken off the projects. For years, Julie Taymor was directing Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, the Broadway musical. And she was designing the costumes, the sets, writing the script, and she was the first female to win a Tony for Best Director for The Lion King. And she had directed some very successful productions and was more or less given free reign. And she was fired a few months before the show finally opened and was not given credit as director. It was based off of a vision by Julie Taymor or something like that. You know, Michael Eisner, CEO of Disney, fixed a lot of Disney's problems, saved the company, brought them to great prosperity, is largely remembered as the guy who introduced direct-to-video sequels and almost lost their relationship with Pixar. Jay Leno, successful Tonight Show run, is now known as the guy who took Conan O'Brien's job and whose weekly 10 o'clock show bombed so bad that he pretty much became the laughingstock of TV. And to some extent still is. Even though when you look at what he did on the Tonight Show, it shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way. There is an interesting scene in the movie The Insider where Mike Wallace, well actually it's Christopher Plummer, but he's playing Mike Wallace, is talking to Al Pacino about, you know, all the things he's done in his career. They were going to run a story about the tobacco industry and the tobacco companies threw their weight around because it was true, and they threatened to sue them, and there'd be no more network if they sued them. And they buried the story. And when it got out that the story was buried, Wallace showed some real disappointment. Like, I covered this war and this war. I covered all these inaugurated presidents. I have talked with presidents personally, with leaders of other nations. I have been in this industry for 50 or more years, and I have done everything. And they only seem to remember the last thing you do. My career is coming to an end in a year or two. And they have just accused me of destroying the legacy of Murrow, Edward Murrow, which, you know, you can look him up if you want to know about that. So, why am I making this video? Why am I talking about this? Because Kalanick getting lunch with Demon isn't really news, in my opinion. It's not, and I'll admit that. But I read so many comments that, boo-hoo, he's a millionaire. Go let him cry. He destroyed the company. He treated us terribly. You know what? Yes, he treated us horribly. He treated us so terribly that I was ecstatic for him to be gone. And I don't want him coming back. Ever. He's not good for this company. He's not good for us. I am not saying that. But he's human. And you know what? For him, the money doesn't really matter if you failed. If you have failed on such a monumental level, and this is your legacy, people, even if they walked away with millions of dollars, they don't care. Here's a good example, and we're talking about a good guy in this case, Michael Ovitz. You can look up the whole story, read about it in Disney War. Yes, this is another Disney example. I told you, I'm a Disney fan. And he was hired by Michael Eisner to be the second in command. And he was eventually going to become the CEO. And he ended up being in the company for less than a year because there were conflicts. And eventually, he was basically forced out of the company. Now, when he was forced out of the company, he got this heavy, like, severance package. It was millions of dollars. He never had to work again his entire life. And he himself didn't really do anything wrong. He was just not a good fit for the Disney company. But because of the circumstances which led to that severance package being paid and him being kicked out, his career was forever ruined. He was not trusted in the same way again. And even though he's running another business now, I hear things are tough. Because he's got that stigma, this cloud. You couldn't cut it. And they made you leave. And that is the position Kalanick is in. And he's not very old, guys. He's only 40. He's only 40-something, I think. I just lost his mother, which I sympathize even in the harshest of times. And he's considered a failure. And I'm not going to defend that he wasn't, because he was. He truly was. He failed this company, and he failed the employees. He failed the drivers. He failed everyone. But man, if I were in those shoes, just feeling that, knowing that, I mean, those millions can't comfort me. They couldn't comfort me. And he doesn't have a wife or kids to go home to. I would actually even be surprised if he really has any friends, to be honest. Because people like that normally don't have any friends. And, I mean, I guess it's kind of like when I'm watching The Social Network. And I know it's a fictionalized version of Mark Zuckerberg. But by the end of the movie, it's funny because it's like, yeah, he's terrible. He deserves everything that's coming to him. But I still feel bad for him. I still feel bad for him. If only because I so wish he wasn't like that. I wish he didn't have to experience that. I'm not a big believer in schadenfreude, which is laughing at the misfortune of others. I am not a big believer in that. I mean, in some rare cases, I do find humor in it, but at the end of the day, I'm going to come off that prideful mountain. And I'm going to look, and that's a human being. And yeah, their lifestyles are different, but Travis Kalanick is feeling bad. He's feeling very bad right now. And it's going to take him a long time to get over it. And I'm hoping he'll take this experience, and whatever next company he makes, I'm hoping he will approach it like, you've been down this road. You don't want to be down it again. I hope he learns from that. And I hope he gets some genuine friends and maybe a wife, someone who can be there for him. Because your legacy means a lot. I mean, if it didn't, why would so many of us want to do things that leave a mark on the world long after we're gone? And Kalanick's tenure as CEO is bad enough. I suspect we will be seeing movies, documentaries, and fictionalized versions of it. He's never going to be the good guy in this. And he's got another 30 to 40 years to look forward to not being the good guy. I don't know. I have a hard time. I'm not going to go so far as to say I respect the man, but I sympathize, and I feel very sorry for him. And his money will never comfort him that way. So you know what? I'm not going to tell people what to comment. And I mean, he screwed up so much. There's a reason many of you feel the way you do. But keep in mind, he's still human. And if we were in his shoes, maybe we'd hope that maybe someone would show a little bit more forgiveness, and that's how we can be bigger. I will still make videos critical of Kalanick when the time comes. In fact, I think I just made one, and it's going to go up along with this one. But I still ultimately want to sympathize with him for whatever that's worth. So, what do you folks think? Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe if you... Yeah. Actually, we're just going to end it there. Flame responsibly. Have a good one.